There is a container in my freezer that looks absolutely perfect. Tight lid, neat label, frozen solid. And what is inside is completely ruined, and it was ruined the moment I froze it. I am setting it right here on the counter, and at the end of this list, I will open it and show you. Come on in. I just put the kettle on, and the freezer door is already open. 15 habits, counted down, that keep food out of my trash can, and then the 5 foods I have learned to never freeze at all. Number 4 on that little list is the one sitting on the counter. I'm Clara, and this channel is just what I actually try in my own kitchen, with my own grocery money. The freezer is the best money tool in this house, and the easiest one to ruin. The government's food safety people say food kept frozen at 0 degrees stays safe indefinitely. So why does so much of it still end up in the trash? Habits. But what happens when you take a step back and cool it first? Number 15. Food cools on my counter before it goes in the freezer. A warm pot of soup put straight in does 2 bad things. It steams up the whole compartment, and that steam settles on everything as frost. And it warms up its frozen neighbors, which softens them and refreezes them slushy. 20 minutes of patience protects the entire shelf. There is a second cost to the steam, and it shows up on the electric bill. Every bit of frost inside that compartment is moisture the machine has to fight, and a frosted-up freezer runs harder to hold the same cold. Mine gets a full defrost twice a year, and the cooling rack by the stove is what keeps the frost from coming back fast. Number 14. Everything soft freezes flat. Soup, chili, ground beef, cooked beans. Into a zip bag, pressed flat like a book, frozen on a tray, then stood up in a row like a little library. Flat things freeze faster, and faster freezing makes smaller ice crystals, which is why my chili comes back tasting like chili and not like wet sand. The flat bag pays twice, because it also thaws in a fraction of the time. A brick of chili needs all afternoon. A flat bag laid in a bowl of cold water is loose in 20 minutes, sometimes less. Thursday night me is a different person from Sunday afternoon me, and the flat bag is the only one of my habits that serves them both. Number 13. The marker lives on top of the freezer, tied to it if I'm honest, and nothing goes in without a name and a date. Frozen food is anonymous food. 3 months in, every bag of red is either chili or spaghetti sauce or a gamble. The marker costs $1 and it settles every argument in this kitchen. One small, hard-earned detail. Ordinary masking tape and ballpoint pen both give up in the cold. The tape curls off at the corners and the ink fades to a ghost. Freezer tape and a permanent marker hold on for a year. I learned that from a shelf of naked bags with little curls of tape lying under them like autumn leaves. Number 12. The list on the door. A piece of paper and a pencil on a string, 1 line per thing, crossed off as it comes out. I tried a phone app for this, and I gave it up in a week. The paper is right there when my hands are full, and my glasses are wherever glasses go. The freezer I can see into is the freezer I actually use. Number 11. I portion before I freeze, never after. Ground beef comes home in a big pack because the big pack costs less per pound, and it goes straight into meal-size bags before any of it sees the freezer. Frozen into 1 brick, that bargain becomes a commitment to 5 pounds of the same dinner. Portioned, it becomes 10 separate choices. Number 10. The air comes out of every bag. Air is the actual enemy in a freezer, not the cold. Those dry gray patches on forgotten food, what the USDA calls freezer burn, are just spots where air dried the surface out. It is not spoiled, they are clear about that, but it eats like cardboard. I press bags flat, or I lower them into a bowl of water so the water squeezes the air out before I seal them. And the USDA backs the bigger point here, so let me say it plainly. Freezer burn is a quality problem, not a safety problem. That gray patch on a chop is dried out, not dangerous. I cut the patch off and cook the rest. Whole packages have been rescued in this kitchen that would have gone in the trash on looks alone. Number 9. Bread goes in sliced, always. A whole frozen loaf asks me to thaw all of it, and the back half goes stale on the counter and then in the trash. Sliced, I take out 2 pieces and leave the rest sleeping. They go straight in the toaster, no waiting. Same loaf, same freezer, and one habit decides whether the second half ever gets eaten. Number 8. Vegetables get 2 minutes in boiling water before they freeze, then straight into ice water. It is called blanching, and I skipped it for years because it felt fussy. Then I ate a year-old bag of my own green beans that still snapped, and I stopped skipping it. Did you ever learn a food-saving trick from a family member that stuck with you? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. The quick heat switches off the ripening that otherwise keeps creeping along even in the cold. Not everything needs the dip, which is worth knowing before the fussiness wins. Peppers and onions go in raw, chopped, and spread on a tray, and they cook up fine straight from frozen. It is the green things picked for crispness, beans, broccoli, corn, that repay the 2 minutes. The rule I use is simple. If it gets blanched in cooking anyway, it gets blanched for the freezer. Number 7. One basket in my freezer is the Eat Me First basket. Anything opened, anything older, anything small and easy to lose slides into that one basket at the front. When I open the door planning dinner, I look there before I look anywhere else. It is the same trick stores use at the end of an aisle, and it works just as well on me. Now, while the beans are still bright, I want to hear from you down in the comments. What is the one thing you keep finding at the bottom of your freezer? The thing that goes in with good intentions and comes out a year later wearing frost. Mine used to be bananas. I read every comment, usually with my morning coffee. Number 6. Ice cube trays are for everything except ice. Leftover broth, tomato paste from the can, I only needed a spoonful of, lemon juice, chopped herbs topped up with oil. Frozen into cubes, popped into a labeled bag. A recipe that needs 1 spoon of tomato paste gets 1 cube, and no half can ever dies in my refrigerator again. Number 5. Fruit gets ready for the freezer before it goes in. Bananas are peeled, because a frozen banana peel might as well be welded on. Berries are spread on a tray first so they freeze loose instead of into one boulder. Peaches are sliced. 5 minutes of prep is the difference between fruit I use and fruit I chip at once and abandon. Number 4. Thawing happens in the refrigerator, on a plate, starting the night before, not on the counter. And here is the part I had wrong for years. The USDA says food thawed in the refrigerator can be safely refrozen without cooking it first. You lose a little texture, that is all. Food left sitting out more than 2 hours is a different story, and that one goes in the trash. The counter thaw feels faster, and that feeling is the trap. The outside of the roast reaches room temperature hours before the middle lets go, and room temperature is exactly where trouble multiplies. The refrigerator thaw needs no attention and no luck. The plan is slower. Slower with a plan beats fast with a gamble every time in this kitchen. Number 3. My freezer stays full, and when groceries run thin, it stays full of water. Jugs and bottles in the empty corners. A full freezer holds its cold in a power cut far longer than an empty one, because all that frozen mass has to warm up before anything thaws, and the bottles come out as ice packs for the cooler all summer. 2 jobs, $0. Number 2. 1 week every couple of months, I shop my freezer instead of the store. The list on the door becomes the menu. It clears out the bottom layer before anything gets old enough to be a mystery, it makes room for the next good meat sale, and my grocery bill that week is almost nothing. The freezer is savings only if things come back out. That freezer shopping week also lines up with how the sales run. Meat sales come around in cycles at my store, and the freezer is what lets me buy at the bottom of the cycle instead of whenever the package runs out. Clearing space on purpose right before the next big sale is not an accident. That is, the freezer doing exactly the job it was bought for. And number 1, nothing goes into my freezer without its exit written on the label. Not just chili and the date. Chili, and the week I intend to eat it. The freezer stopped being a food graveyard the day I started freezing plans instead of leftovers. That one habit is the reason the other 14 actually happen. So that is the 15. Now, the other half of the promise. The 5 foods I have stopped freezing entirely because the freezer does not preserve them, it executes them. These are the ones the extension offices and the home preservation people have been listing for decades, and I tested every one before believing them. The container on the counter is almost up. Fail number 5, lettuce and cucumbers. Anything that is mostly water and eaten raw for its crunch. Freezing turns water into ice crystals. The crystals puncture every cell wall, and what thaws out is a limp green rag lying in its own puddle. I tried freezing half a cucumber exactly once. It came back as soup with a skin. There is one honest exception on the vegetable rule, and it saves the tomatoes. A tomato ruined for slicing is still perfect for the pot. Whole tomatoes go in my freezer in a bag all summer, and in the winter the skins slip off under warm water and they melt into sauce. Frozen does not mean wasted if the next stop is soup. Fail number 4 is on the counter. Sour cream and everything creamy like it. I froze this container full of sour cream to save it, and freezing broke it. Watch. The water has separated from the solids, and no amount of stirring puts that marriage back together. It is grainy, weepy, and done. Cream sauces, milk gravy, yogurt, same sad ending. Fail number 3. Mayonnaise, and anything held together the way mayonnaise is. It is an emulsion, oil and water, talked into staying mixed by egg. The freezer ends the negotiation. It thaws split, curdled and oily, and it does not come back. That includes the pasta salad and the potato salad already dressed with it. Freeze the pasta plain, add the dressing on the day. Fail number 2. Eggs in the shell. The inside expands as it freezes, and the shell loses that argument every time. It cracks, and a cracked raw egg in a freezer is just a mess with a future. The home preservation folks have had this one on their never freeze list forever. Cracked into a container and beaten first, eggs freeze fine. In their shells, never. Fail number 1 because it hurts the most. Fried food. The crunch you paid for on Friday is gone by Monday. Frozen and rewarmed, the crust drinks the moisture out of the food it is wrapped around and turns to a soft, sad jacket. Fried chicken, fish fry, fritters. I eat them fresh now, or I share them fresh, and the freezer stays out of it. Here is something worth trying this week, and it costs nothing. Take every mystery package out of your freezer, all of them, and give each one a name, a date as best you can guess, and a place in the front basket. 20 minutes. What you find in there will plan your next 2 weeks of dinners better than any list I could give you. And when you have done your dig, come back and tell me in the comments what the oldest thing you found was, and whether it was still good. Earlier, I asked what keeps turning up at the bottom of your freezer. I mean it. I want the whole story, the year on the label and everything. I read every single comment, and your finds decide what I try next. The kettle has gone quiet, and the sour cream is going where it should have gone a month ago. The door list is right here with a fresh page for September, and there will be a new experiment on this counter next week. Come back and see how it turns out. I will be right here in this kitchen, marker in hand.